March.
It's March now. We've made it 2 months into 2024.
So weird.
I know.
It's going by really quickly.
I love this part of the year because, like, it goes so quick, and then we get to, like, May, and then it gets warm, and then we have the summer, and you're like, oh, summertime.
And then you're like, oh, it's too hot. Can it be fall? And then it's fall, and then it's too cold when it's winter, and then it's January, which is, I think, the worst month of the year, and then all of a sudden, here we are back again.
And we just keep going round and round and round.
It never ends, the rat race.
The rat race never ends.
Well, welcome back to Too Delulu. I'm Bree.
I'm Heather.
And this is episode 8.
Oh, we are almost to 10. 2 episodes away from 10.
It's so crazy.
Can't believe how far we've come.
We're going.
We're going.
We're in March now.
We made it to March.
It's so weird. But today, we're going to kind of have a sporadic episode. What's new? We have a lot of random topics to talk about. We're going to start off with some spilling the tea with Heather and Bree. Then we are going to talk about some TikToks. We're going to talk about group dating and significant others.
Posting them on social media.
Yes.
So, like, when should you soft launch and when should you hard launch them?
Yeah. So we're going to start off with spilling the tea with Heather and Bree. And I'm going to kind of out myself on something that I haven't talked to you guys about yet.
Oh, God.
So I'm a smart girl, okay? Like, I take pride in my education. I like to read. I like to read books. I'm pretty smart. I'm pretty intelligent. But I will say, everyone has their blonde moments or their dumb moments. And one of mine that I'm still not really sure of because I didn't look it up, so you guys could explain it to me, is there's been a lot of debates right now about, like, people trying to take over Antarctica. And, like, that's not even what I'm confused about. I always thought that there was 2 Antarcticas. Like a North Pole and a South Pole. So what is that? Is there only one?
There is only one Antarctica. The reason that you see one at the top and at the bottom of the map is because the world is round. So when they do maps, they're 2D, so they will most of the time show Antarctica being at the top, and then they'll also show it at the bottom.
So there's not a South Antarctica?
No.
You mean a north?
No, I knew there was one up north, like next to Canada.
So the world's round, Bree, and we just keep going.
That makes no sense to me. I might be a flat earther now. I'm so confused.
It's just maps are in 2D, so when you see a map, it's in 2D. So it's only showing you certain parts of it, versus if you look at a globe, you would see that Antarctica
But aren't there, like, penguins in South America near the South Pole? Is there a South Pole?
Yeah.
So,
there's a
South
North Pole and a South Pole.
I thought the South was Antarctica. I thought Antarctica was at the bottom.
I thought it was at the top. See?
No, see, now I'm confused. Because I swear, no, because it's closer to Africa. Because people go to the South.
There's penguins
in Africa because they were close from Antarctica.
No, there's southern penguins. There's penguins that can live in the warmer climates, like parts of Africa and South America.
Yeah, like Madagascar.
But they come from the south because you can go. The way you get to Antarctica is you go to Argentina and you ride through the something of the Drake, and then you get to the dang Antarctica. How do I know this? I watched TikToks where girlies would travel on this like 7-day cruise.
I've seen other YouTubers, travel YouTubers, Kara and Nate. They went to Antarctica and they dived in.
I thought it was in the south. I'm like convinced.
But yeah, I thought it was the south too when they went. But like, I thought there was one up north.
Guys, we gotta pull them.
Like, I'm so confused.
No, there's only one.
Then how does it exist in 2 places?
That's what
because of how the map
You're not
is
making
drawn.
any sense
No,
to me.
because I thought the north, for me, the north is just, I thought it was an ice sheet. And it's not an actual land. And it's an extension of Greenland. Or like, and that's where Russia, they don't meet. So there's no actual, like, north. Oh my god.
But people go up there. That's where the igloos are.
You guys, I'm so confused.
Idiots. Idiots.
Where is
I'm
Antarctica?
sitting with idiots. I got Nikki over here saying that, well, the penguins all came from Antarctica. Well, Nikki, some penguins aren't cold penguins. We have warm-weathered penguins.
Yeah, the ones with little yellow hair on top.
Yes.
They're
yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
I'm right. That's all I gotta say. I'm right. It's at the bottom. Antarctica is at the bottom.
Okay.
Then what's up there with Canada?
What's
And that's where Santa is from, the North Pole.
I know, that's why I'm like, what's...
Why do they call it the North Pole and the South Pole?
Is there a North Pole?
There's a North Pole and there's a South Pole. It's where, like, the lines, so you know how we have the equator across the
I know
center?
the equator.
So then there's a northern
the prime
pole
meridian.
and a southern pole, and then there's other ones in
I'm
between.
literally going to type in North Pole on Google Maps.
Like, literally, I'm so confused by this, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm telling you, it's just how they draw the maps.
I don't know where we are. I don't know why
You
we
guys,
exist. I'm having an existential crisis.
No,
It's all
it's a
all
simulation.
part of the simulation.
It's all a simulation.
Antarctica's at the bottom. It's at the bottom of Earth. The only thing up top is an ice sheet.
Maybe I'm thinking of the ice sheet.
Yes, but again, now you were spinning going around the globe. So if you were to look from top to bottom, maps draw Antarctica at the top and at the bottom because of how the globe is shaped.
Yes, no, that makes sense.
That doesn't make sense to me.
But now that, like, I'm still, like, I was like, wait.
I've blown Nikki's mind, and Heather just thinks we're both stupid.
Idiots. Idiots who look at the world as it's flat. So I could give you both the map.
I know a flat earther. He's wild. He was like, yeah, Earth is flat. I was like, there's no way.
There's no
way.
I was like, how do you get to the other side?
I'm so, but like,
there's a picture that popped up on my feed the other day. I don't even remember what I was on that I was looking at this, and it had like a picture, and it said the comment of like what people that think Earth is flat, like how it looks, and it had like a picture of like the pyramids, and you could see like the Eiffel Tower, and you can see all these national landmarks just in like one view, and they're like, this is how people with mindsets of the Earth is flat. That's what they're seeing. You see everything
It's
just in one little
like
blob.
a game board.
I do not think.
But I'm like, what's the end of the game?
That's what we don't know.
I know.
No, I don't think the Earth is flat. I'm just kidding about that. But I seriously had no idea, like, that Antarctica was just one.
If there was two, wouldn't they call it North and South?
That's what the North Pole and the South Pole.
This is just the funniest conversation.
I knew you guys would like this. But like,
but also, can we talk about how they're all? So there was a treaty signed in I literally watched this whole TikTok on it in 1958 about how all the like large nations all agreed that Antarctica is like a research centered like place.
Yeah, nobody owns it.
Now they're all fighting over it.
That's why I've started thinking about this.
But why are they all fighting about it?
I'm like, if there's two, we can split it.
No.
That's not how that works. It's not a pie.
There's also like nothing to fight about. Like there's nothing there. You can't like really live there.
There was a ship.
There is a lot of research.
There's conspiracies that there's a lot of information in Antarctica.
That's where they're hiding all the seeds. They started a collection of seeds, so when the Earth goes kablooey,
that is true.
Yeah, I do know that.
That is true. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so that way we can regrow things for when everything goes down the drain.
I'm not surprised about my lack of knowledge about Antarctica, because also up until about like high school, I thought Lewis and Clark was one guy named Lewis and Clark. Lewison. You
told me this not too long ago.
Like, it's just these little random things that I literally am just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, is there one Antarctica or two? And is there one guy who discovered, America or Columbus did? I don't know. Lewison is one guy, not two.
That's what
Lewis and Clark.
Lewison.
Lewis and Clark.
See? The teachers say it so fast, you can't tell that they're talking about two guys. They say Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark.
Don't forget Sacagawea.
And I know that was one person.
That is one person.
It's now time for your ASMR ad break. This episode of Too Delulu is brought to you by Awkward Essentials. Awkward Essentials is bringing women's crotch care to the mainstream. Head over to their website, awkwardessentials.com, to browse through their amazing hygienic products like the Drip Stick, the world's first after-sex cleanup sponge, the mainstream so you can easily use a public restroom without having to sit on the seat, and their first timer kit. At checkout, use code TooDelulu to save 15% off at Awkward Essentials. Again, that's code TOODELULU at checkout to save 15% off at Awkward Essentials.
So is there any more tea?
But now, me and Dusty and I, we've passed up 3 months. 3 months was back in February, so we are almost to the 4-month mark, and everyone says the honeymoon phase ends after 3. Well, guess what? It has not faded.
That's so sweet.
So,
Y'all are the cutest little rats.
The cutest little rats.
I swear, I am the last one standing.
The last rat standing.
Oh my god. What am I gonna do? Start a dating podcast with 2 single girls. They're both coupled up. As
This
they would
is
say
it.
on Love Island. They're coupled up.
They're coupled up.
We'll see how long.
I'm
just
We'll
kidding.
see.
I'm just kidding.
Me and my one friend have this infamous saying of like, you never know what can happen in a year. And I said it on a date with my ex last year. And so she texted me like the year later and was like, you never know what can happen in a year, because he got really mad when I said that. But that's like my gut telling you this might not last.
Yeah.
And I said it on a date like, well, you never know what can happen in a year. Like, we might not be together. And it made him so mad that night. So now it's like, well, you never know what can happen in a year.
That
Period.
similar things to me and my ex, you know, like there'd be a comment and he was like, oh, well, we'll still be together at that point.
Well, you never know.
Never know.
You never know.
I might have to get on out of here.
Skirt.
I guess
Yep.
scurry on out somewhere else.
Scurry
Be
on.
ratting about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I also got into a mini fender bender, but I just hit a pole, so.
Yeah, she got whacked as well. You know, we're just crashing. We all
I
have
got
like
whacked.
we all have the same car in different
Fonts.
like fonts. Yeah, we all have a white SUV from different companies. So mine got whacked earlier this year. You all know that story. If you haven't seen that episode, go back to it. Nikki got whacked, but she didn't get whacked by somebody else. She just ran into a pole.
I just whacked
Nikki's
myself.
text to me was, help, I got in a fender bender.
Help!
And then I talked to Bree later on that night, and Bree goes, yeah, she whacked a pole. And I was like, that's not a fender bender.
It is.
She fendered her own bender.
I fendered my own bender. I did.
Because
I
fender
did.
bender is you hitting someone else or someone else hitting you.
Yeah.
You got in your
Nikki
own
hit a pole.
accident. You hit a pole.
I know.
We'll insert clip. We'll insert clip.
Insert
Insert
image.
clip. It's so sad. My taillight was busted. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna drop it off. I'm off Monday. I'm extra day.
Don't you have a backup camera?
So yes, but it's very tiny.
She does have a really small one. It's like
So
this
it's like,
big.
Yeah. So I call it my little video game because it looks like a little video game. But honestly, I'm excited. Like even though yes, it's a lot of money for me to do. I have a rental car. I got it all figured out. I was immobile for a couple days.
That's okay.
It's
Yes.
alright. It happens. Literally, we're just getting in crashes, so watch out, Heather. You might be next.
You're next.
Nope. Can't afford it.
Period.
not
happening.
letting that energy in.
Not allowed to
Literally.
happen.
When there's like a creepy TikTok, do you see the comments where people are like, I do not, like, it's like, I don't want this energy. Like, people are like, do not, I revoke this energy, rebuke it. Like, that's how
Me
they
off
say
this
it.
energy.
Yes.
Yeah, no, literally, I'm feeling better though. I feel like now that I have things figured out, I feel like this is my first like adult situation where I had to like really handle insurance, talk to the people, get my rental.
You have to do it all on your own.
I know, and like it's hard, but like it is what it is.
I want to get into, you know, the right time to start bringing in your significant other to like friend groups, social media. Like, when are good times to do that? Like,
For me, I have a big, well, not big, I have a bigger than normal average micro influencer kind of social media. So I personally, even with my last relationship, I think I only posted like one picture with him, and then I would kind of do like the soft launch thing where I would just like show us holding hands, or like his hand on my leg, or us out to dinner with like his hands eating. Like, I really don't post too much about it, because also, I don't want to post about it and then have to also be like, and we broke up. Like, I feel like that's embarrassing.
and go through and take everything off.
Yeah, so I feel like you should, I personally only would post if I know for sure this is going to last a while.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I like the soft launch thing for me. So, like, for Dusty, I would post a group of pictures, and he would be like, the last photo.
The last
Yeah.
slide.
So, you know, not
That's a
everyone will
soft
go
launch.
through all the photos, but like, if they do, they're like,
And it's
oh,
not on your grid.
Yeah.
it's not on the grid. So, like, it's a very nice, like, soft launch. Like, hey, I've been talking to this person. No one really knows. And then, like, the next photo, you kind of put them in the middle.
Yeah.
And then, like, you slowly put them up to the front. So, like, my last 2 Instagram posts, he's been, like, the first thing that you see. And the time before that, I was like, sorry, you're not the first photo. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you're not the first photo in mine then. Yeah. So then he kind of like did it back, and I said, well, look, now you are the first for the last two.
Yeah, I think once you're like more established and they've met your friends and everything, it's like okay to post them. But I'm apprehensive about posting them online because I've been through the big breakup where I was with someone for 3.5, 4 years, and then it's just like, oh man, now everyone's gonna know that I'm single and I broke up with them. Like it's a lot. So I try to protect it a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. Like my last relationship, I did a hard launch and I did like a couple soft launches, but then I did a hard launch. And then I broke up with him. So then I was like, people were like, oh my gosh, you're dating someone. I said, nope.
The hard launch curse.
Yeah.
Like, once you hard launch, it might end. Like,
yeah, like literally be careful.
Be careful about the hard launch ladies.
I try to make sure it's like at least a month, maybe 2 months in before I do the hard launch version. Yeah. Like having them hidden in the lineup of photos. You know, no one's really going to think anything of it. They just be like, oh, they're friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
Night out.
Yeah, night out, just hanging out with the people. Because normally I'll try to post a couple photos of everyone that I was with that night. So you're like, oh, look how much fun they're having.
Yeah. And like with meeting your friend group and stuff, like I know we've covered it a little bit, but I haven't talked about this topic of like what I've kind of found as a new conclusion or a new idea of mine is to like introduce them to your friends like on a first or second date, like a casual way. Especially with dating apps, like first off, there's all kinds of craziness out there. Like you always want to meet in a public place. We talked about Nikki's catfishing story where you just don't know who you're meeting. So like, I think it's okay sometimes to even say, hey, we're all going to trivia tonight. Would you like to meet me and my friends at trivia? And you can kind of see how they get along with your friends. They might be really nervous, and that could be a lot. Like if a guy was like, do you want to come hang out with my friend group on like the second or third time meeting? I might be a little nervous, but also it kind of makes it feel more relaxed and casual in a way too, where it's not as much pressure as like going on an expensive dinner date or something. It's like, hey, just come hang out with my friends, and then we can all kind of vet them. But I don't know if I would want to do that to a guy, so I don't know.
I would say going like back to, the dating apps and like meeting a stranger on there and then like going to dinner or whatever. I like the aspect of going somewhere that's in public, like always go somewhere in public and then
tell your friends where you're going.
Yeah, tell your friends. And I've occasionally like mentioned to friends like as a joke, like why don't you guys go get a table at the same place? Yeah. And then you can kind of like watch me and like keep up with the date
and make sure he's not safe.
Yeah, make sure that you're safe because that person's not going to know like who you all are if you were to go eat dinner. But I mean, it's just that whole like comfortability thing of like wanting to be safe. And then we did have a friend who invited a guy to a trivia one night that Nikki was hosting, and I think it went really well. Like, he just did a great job meshing with the friend group, and he was super nice.
And he was also not a random. That is a distinction, too. He was, like, friends of friends, old friends kind of deal. So, like, we knew him. Some of us knew him, some of us didn't. But that was a great first meeting. Like, I think that was, like, where I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. To kind of just be like, come hang out with us. Yeah. But that might work better for someone who you kind of know.
Yeah.
Versus a stranger. Because that would be really scary, I feel like.
But I feel like
the stranger.
A stranger, like going
you're freaking meeting a whole group of friends.
A whole group a lot. But like maybe like a couple's date. So like you have one other friend that has like a boyfriend or something.
Yeah, I've never done that before.
And then taking them.
What is that called? A group date or.
A group date?
Yeah, I don't know. There's like a word for it.
It just makes it, not feel.
Outing? Group outing?
Group outing?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's not as intimate, but it's also not.
Oh, a double date.
Oh, no.
Wow, I'm really stupid today.
Do you have the Nikki or Heather juice?
I don't know what's going on.
The double date, a double date I feel like would be very comfortable for a first time meeting with
like a stranger. Risa Wisa on TikTok. This is nuts, you guys. It's gone viral these past like I guess at this point it'll be like a couple weeks ago, but. She is this woman who I think is in her late 30s, who is telling this 52-part series called Who the Did I Marry? She goes into this whole story time about how this man who she married was not who he said he was. Like, it could literally be a Netflix documentary, HBO documentary, like a series or a book.
It's like a giant catfish at this point.
Giant catfish story. And it kind of reminds me of what we're talking about. Like, you don't know some of these people you're meeting. She met him on a dating website, met him for dinner. She's in her late 30s, and she was kind of talking about how, like, she's just at that point in her life where she thought it was her moment. She's seen all of her friends get married and have kids, and she just blindly accepted that this man was telling her the truth without really getting to know him. And it was right before COVID. So I'm sure you guys have heard about like COVID dating stories, how people locked in together and they either really hit it off or they ended up, like a lot of people broke up during COVID.
Yeah.
And so she met him like a month before COVID. So they had dated for a month, and then he basically just moved into her house. And then a couple months later they got married. And a year, they weren't even married for over a year. I think it was just under a year, where she's unfolding all these lies that he's told her about who he is, people in his family that aren't real. Or I don't want to spoil it 100%, but it is a 52-part series, so I don't know if you guys will really want to dive into it. I watched it until 2 a.m. last night and then finished it today.
It's time for another ad break. Thank you to our new sponsor, Mrs. Kisses. Mrs. Kisses is an innovative game changer in the world of bras. Imagine having a bra that's frontless, backless, and strapless, designed by a woman, for women, or just people with boobs. Mrs. Kisses is revolutionizing how we think about support and style, giving you freedom to wear what you want without compromise. And the best part, other than how amazing your cleavage can look, our TooDelulu listeners can get an exclusive deal. When you visit Mrs. Kisses and pick up any of their amazing kits and accessories, you can get 10% off. Just use our code TooDelulu at checkout. Think about the new possibilities. Oh, and just a little heads up, the only item that is not included in this offer is the Kelly kit. And that's for an incredible reason. Mrs. Kisses donates 15% of their sale from every Kelly kit to Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Talk about a purchase you can feel good about. So whether you're stepping out in a daring dress or styling that sleek tube top, Mrs. Kisses has got you covered. It's comfort, support, and style all in one without the hassle of traditional bras. Don't forget to use our special code TooDelulu to save 10% off your Mrs. Kisses purchase. Let's support this incredible women-owned business and revolutionize our wardrobe at the same time. Check them out, guys.
Like,
All of it?
It was, well, it's like 52 parts, and like the longest you go on TikTok is 10 minutes. So yeah, that's a lot of watch time. But I watched it at 2 times speed, which is a hack if you want to get into it. It is literally nuts. She had this man literally living in her house. He basically was a bum. Like, you've heard these stories about how people
Was he like credit card fraud
like
shit?
It wasn't credit card fraud or anything. He just said he was a VP of a company. He wasn't at all. He would wake up and go to work every day, but
not go anywhere.
She thinks sometimes he wasn't going anywhere, but then at one point she found a contract. He was a temp at like a warehouse. Like, he was just a warehouse worker. Like, she's like, he didn't need to lie to me about that. Like, she wasn't a bougie person. Like, she's like, I just have a regular job at Amazon. Like, I don't make that much money. He didn't need to lie. He told her that he was going to buy her a house for $700,000, all cash offer. He didn't have that. He was showing her fake screenshots of his bank account. He was doing fake phone calls. So he'd be like, hey, I'm going to talk to my brother. Hey, man, what's up? What's going on? Yeah, she's right here. Do you want to say hi? She found out he was never on the phone with anyone. She eventually actually contacts his brother, and his brother's like, I don't even speak to him because he's a pathological liar.
What?
He was having fake pretend phone calls. And so all these women on TikTok are like, I really need to like start looking at, diving into my relationship more. It's just like a warning. I really, really think everyone should watch it to like really dive into who you're dating, especially like it's that story of like, I'm in my 30s. I really want to get married. Someone showed her attention and she just kind of went with it. And she's like, I've had to do therapy and look back at why I didn't see the red flags. She's like, the red flags were flashing and I just looked over all of them because she wanted to be in love.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's really, really scary. And it really touched me, her story. I'm like, wow, like, I don't ever want to get to that point where, and I don't want to call her desperate because she's been so open and awesome about telling the story, and she realizes that she made mistakes along the way, but if you have that desperation in you where you just want something to work, you look over red flags that you shouldn't.
You just don't see them at first.
Yeah. It's really, really scary out there for some, like, and we know a situation where someone was a pathological liar and they were in our lives and, like, didn't take it to that extent quite to, like, that level. But, like, still, it's like, there's people out here doing this, like, scamming people, lying. He was showing her fake bank account saying that he had all this money. He was going to buy her a car. And she thinks that at the end of it that the reason why he was doing it was because his narcissism was, like, he liked to get her excited about something that she would never get. So he'd be like, I'll buy you a new car, baby. And then, like, he would take her and show her all these cars. And then, like, oh, it just didn't work out. Oh, we're not going to go with BMW. We're going to go with Audi. Let alone this man had, like, no money to buy any of this. Or he was like, I'll put all cash offer on a house. Was talking to realtors. Then, you know, oh, it's the realtor. They're bad. Making it something that it wasn't at all. Like, I mean, it's crazy. I really think you guys should look into it. And my moral of my telling this is that when we're talking about meeting people, introducing them to your friend group, just be careful. And sometimes, I don't know, is it Delulu to get a background check on someone you don't know? Is it just safety? Where does the line cross? Like, if someone found out you did a background check on them, would that destroy the trust? I mean, there's like a balancing line here. But if she would have done the background check before she got married to him, she would have known that a lot of the things that he was telling her was a lie.
Yeah, and I also think, like, their relationship, you know, like you said, it started during COVID, so being locked in, like, not seeing your friends or whatever, or not going over to see them, I always feel that when you introduce a guy or a girl or whoever it is to your friend group, your friends will notice things quicker than you do because you have those blinders on because you're blinded by love.
Yeah.
But, like, they meet your friends and they're like, oh, this isn't really working. Like, why are you with this guy?
Yeah.
And what's so funny is that my ex, everyone kind of made little comments about it, but no one ever, like, stepped out and said anything because I've been friends with Bree forever and she never met him a day in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't have much of an opinion because he was never around.
And that's not, that's not a good way to have a relationship. You wanted them to be involved in your life and be involved in your friends, be involved with what's going on. I feel like that, like, makes, I don't know, it makes it more of a safe, like you all said, like a safety situation.
Yeah, it just, I wish more people would listen to their friends and their friend group about things because that made me more open to, like, listening to what my friends have actually started to say because that wasn't the first guy that I didn't listen about. It's been the second one that I didn't listen about, and I should have listened for the first time around that it happened, and I didn't, and then I slightly started to listen a little bit more this time around when people said, that's kind of weird, and I'm like, you're right, that is kind of weird.
Sometimes you're just so into it. You're just so into it. You want to be in love. Like, her whole thing was that she just had this idea of, like, she finally has the man who's going to take care of her because he said he had all this money.
Yeah.
He also lied about where he went to school. She called the registrar's office.
Good
he never went there. But it's, like, stuff like that, too. Like, oh, my gosh, am I going to have, like, do I need to ask to see your degree, your diploma? But, like, he had all these printouts and everything. And, like, some people go to the extent of just lying about stuff, and this is not the first time that this has happened, but I think it is, like, probably the first time on TikTok where something like this has gone so viral. She's got a 52-part series. I think at this point all 52 videos have, like, almost 1 million views.
Yeah.
Like, it's really going viral, and I don't know, it's telling and kind of scary. Like, I don't know, you don't know who people are sometimes. And they can lie about it, especially when you're meeting these strangers, like, on the app. Like, she met him on an app.
I can't believe people will take time out of their day to go, like, that deep dive into lie. Like, what are you gaining from going that far into it? Especially the catfish stories where people, you know, they post different pictures, they act like a completely different person, and, you know, you meet them in person, and they're like, that's not who I was talking to. And it's like, why would you waste all that time to lie about who you are or, like, what your life is like?
It's psychological issues. I mean, this is, like, mental health.
Really personifying your psychological needs and, like, making it a, like, toxic, unsafe situation. But the way you feel okay to do that is because it's not you. And in your head, you're, like, justifying it, but that's not, like justifiable.
Mm-hmm. It's a
to the
mental
right
illness.
mind. Yeah.
This guy's totally pathological liar, narcissist, like all the above. Ugh. And they're out there though. So that's my story is just to stay safe out there. If you have a feeling that something's going wrong, look into it. Yeah. She finally did the work after she got the ring. And luckily did not have a kid with this man, like did not buy a house with this man. But it's just like, oh man, follow your gut feeling. She in her hindsight, she said she started doing voice memos, like voice diaries, and she's like, why would I have done that if I felt like nothing was wrong? Like there was something there and she wasn't listening to it. Yeah. And it's like you've got to listen to your gut, and I think women have intuition. I think people have intuition. And if you have a feeling something's not right, something probably isn't right.
Go with it.
Look into it.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of some red flags we just talked about with the story that you kind of told us, which was insane.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not Risa Wisa. It's Risa Tisa. Excuse me for that.
Her brain's not working today, so we're going to forgive her today.
Yeah, not
just
good.
Today.
But that's a wild story.
That is a very wild story.
Highly recommend everyone deep dives into it, or at this point, people are making like summary videos because it is a long series. It's
so just
52
watch a summary
parts.
if you don't got the time.
Yeah.
Spark notes, if you will.
Yeah, spark notes it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going back to game red flag, green flag.
Yay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, because last time I read the questions, so now I get to give some
I've got them. All right, first one. Red flag, green flag. Casually flirting with someone else. So if you're out at the bar.
Gosh, all these always depend on the situation, but I would say that's a red flag.
You can genuinely see them flirting back.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think people are going to get hit on sometimes, and it really shows the green flag in them how they handle that, right? Yeah. Do they say like, hey, thank you, but I've got my girl, or whatever. I think there's a way to take a compliment, and then there's a way to like flirt back and
keep it
disregard
going.
Your partner.
Yeah.
Which Love is Blind at this point, I think most of us have seen this. There is a point where one of the guys looks at another girl and is like, she's stacked, to his girlfriend or his fiance on Love is Blind, looks at her and is like, that other girl's stacked. And I'm like, I would not have approved it. Now the girl who he said it to, his fiance, was like, oh yeah, she is stacked, and like kind of like
she took it as a joke,
almost. She's like, yeah, she's so beautiful, which you could acknowledge, but then she turns around later that night and is crying about it and is like, you embarrassed me. So it's like, if you guys are comfortable enough to both acknowledge that someone's cute, go for it.
Yeah, but if it's a one way.
But if you're really just saying it to be the cool girlfriend, or like, I don't like this term, but like the pick-me girl, like, oh yeah, she is really beautiful, but then you go and cry about it later, just be honest with your partner and say, I'm not that kind of girl, I don't like that.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, red flag for me for
red
that
flag.
Red flag.
Red flag. We're all red flag. All right, red flag, green flag, sleeping with your socks on.
Red flag.
Red flag.
I don't like that.
Dusty sleeps with socks.
Oh, weird.
I kind of started doing it sometimes, too.
No! He's rubbing off on you. That is weird behavior.
I used to get on Dusty, like, when we first started hanging out. Like, I first started staying the night over there, and he would wear his socks, and I was like, why are your socks on?
I just feel like I need, like, air. Like, I get hot at night, and socks keep you warm. They're keeping your feet warm.
When I'm cold, like, Dusty enjoys sleeping with the window open, and now I enjoy sleeping with the window open. But when it's really cold outside, and even just that little bit of air, it just keeps my feetsies warm enough to where my body's warm. So if I want to do like shorts and a t-shirt, the socks save me.
No, I've tried to sleep in socks, and even in my sleep, I'll end up like taking them off. Like I'll push them off of my feet because I don't want them on.
So you say red flag.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I'm going with yellow. Red flag, green flag, wanting to share locations.
I think that's a green flag.
I think green too.
Green.
I like it because as a woman, like, I like to have, I like other people, not even just a partner, to know where I am, just in case anything were to happen. I've talked about it. I love true crime. There's too many things going on in this world. I would feel more protected if my partner knew where I was at all time. With my last relationship, who had an iPhone, I shared my location with him. Now, red flag for me was that he would not share his location with me. And I did not like that. And I think you do that later in the relationship, like once you're more established. I don't think that's something you should ask for within the first week or like
No.
2 weeks. But once you're more established, I think it's fine. But I did not like that he would not share his location with me. I'm like, well, what are you trying to hide? So I feel like location sharing can cause problems.
It has to be mutual, though.
It has to be
both
mutual.
Both of you should be sharing it with each other. It shouldn't just be, like, one way. But I do like checking on friends. I am a little spy.
Yeah.
So I will occasionally pull it up and see, like, where's everyone at today?
Exactly.
What you doing?
Literally, Dusty was in the river the other day. I was like, I know he's not
Dusty
in the river.
was in the river.
There's one bar here where it's near the river, and every time we're at
yes,
it looks
it
like
puts
we're
you
all
in
in
the
the river.
river.
While we were there at the bar, someone's mom messaged them and was like, where are you? Because she saw her location and she thought she was in the middle
river.
of the Ohio River at midnight.
Yeah. That bar's nuts for how it does that on locations.
So, but yeah, I think it's a green flag. I would prefer that if I have a partner with an iPhone, that we mutually share our location.
Yes. All right, last one for you. Red flag, green flag. Text you, what are you doing after 10 p.m.? So I guess it's if you're, like, in the dating pool and, you know, like, you're on Tinder or Hinge or whatever.
Like you're in the talking stage.
And you're in that talking stage and it's, like, 10 p.m. and they're like, what are you doing?
Red flag. That, we all know what that
they
means.
want.
That's a Netflix and chill sesh. We all know what that means. If you are not fully dating and someone's asking you, what are you doing late at night? I would say 10 p.m. is a little early, but like if it's midnight or 1 a.m., nope, that's a booty call.
All right, well, that is going to wrap us up for today on our episode 8 of Too Delulu.
Yes, thank you so much, Delulas, for watching or listening today. Remember to subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're a visual girly, if you're just an audio girly, please leave us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. That would be great. It does great wonders for us just to know what you're thinking about it. And also follow us on TikTok and Instagram at TooDelulu Thank you so much for joining today. That's a wrap. Woo! Woo!
Another one down.
Another
one
bites
done.
the dust.
Ding, ding. Check it off the list. Bing, bing.